start to get people thinking about how there are so many plants out there that we take for granted, whether they be native or non-native, that they're already available, and all we have to do is really, I think, get on, talk with our suppliers and make sure that these plants become available so we can all grow them and learn them.
The main thing with the natives is that they don't need the amount of fertility or the amount of water that introduced plant materials do. So a lot of the things that we've been taught as conventional gardening wisdom is increasing fertility, adding organic material, irrigation, and those sorts of things can be significantly reduced, if not eliminated.
You know, some of the changes that we've seen within our industry in the full horticultural aspect with what we do in growing has been more towards the color, back patio, if you would, home decor. We do a tremendous amount with patio planters, hanging baskets, you know, that really do perform well as a decorating aspect of our patio, rather than a little bit more of a transition from actually planting in the ground, because so many homes don't have that space.
We're in a good temperate zone, yet we have enough cold, cool temperatures for crops like perennials in the landscape to go through a vernalization process so that they flower the next spring. We have the benefit of pretty substantial rainfall through the spring and early summer. That sets up perennials in the landscape situation to go into their dormant winter period with adequate soil moisture so that they survive better through the winter.
Water conservation is a big deal right now, and it will continue to be. As cities grow, as our water supplies are stressed and there's more demand as urban sprawl happens, there's more demand on our water supplies from both the consumer, homeowner usage, also with industrial uses. And so water conservation is increasingly becoming a big deal. And the EarthKind approach identifies plants that do well under low water use, but also because of the soil building, the soil management aspect of EarthKind, it focuses on the importance of good soil and its ability to maintain plant health under low water use.
The EarthKind system, we have years of field trials and on roses, crepe myrtles, and herbaceous perennials, we can reduce watering by approximately 95%. So there's a tremendous reduction in water usage.
What we've been doing research on is some natural processes, natural ways to manage that runoff and remove the pesticides and nutrients before it gets off site. So we're going to find areas where the runoff would naturally come off of your landscape and intercept that runoff, allow it to infiltrate so that natural processes such as the microbes in the soil or binding to organic material can happen before it goes off site, and that way you improve your runoff using natural processes basically passively, because you're not actively treating that water before it comes off site. So it continues to happen all the time.
And we've done years of research to show that for almost all the landscape plants, if they're well adapted, all you have to do is incorporate 3 inches of fully finished compost prior to planting. Fertilizer should not be needed other than perhaps on annuals, and then mulch them with 3 inches of just raw wood chips. That mulch breaks down over time to feed the soil, so that avoids the use or the need for fertilizer. The plants do extremely well. That mulch protects the roots. It helps homeowners to be very successful with their landscape plants and much kinder to the environment.
There really aren't any reasons these days why we can't garden ecologically and be mindful of our local ecology, because there are so many plants available now that really the days are gone when we have to grow plants that maybe we'd have to spray a lot. And I think what you've seen is a trend away from that amongst people by recognizing that either they're going to tolerate a little bit of damage on their plants by some caterpillars or whatever it may be, and know that that's part of the natural cycle, or else they're just going to choose not to spray because most of the time the plants don't really need it.
The natives have been growing here, thousands of years before we came along, and they are you know, if they get in the right conditions and we are fertilizing them too much and watering them too much, they can, you know, become a little bit of a problem. But basically they benefit, you know, the pollinators, the wildlife, hummingbirds, you know, songbirds, you know, the butterflies, caterpillars, that sort of thing.
Things that will work well in Oklahoma are ornamental grasses, which you see a lot of even here on the campus of OSU. Salvias perform well here. Coreopsis echinacea performs very well here.
First step is to improve their soil. I would buy good quality compost, work that into the soil. I would use the plants that Oklahoma State University Extension recommends for your area and mulch it, and don't water it too often. The rule on watering any plant, you stick your finger in the soil. When the soil and root ball is dry to an inch down, you water thoroughly. Until it gets dry an inch down, you don't water. So you're going to go much longer once the plant's established between irrigation. Instead of every 2 or 3 days, with perennials you could probably go 6 weeks.
We've seen with Earthkind, we've seen through the research trials that have been done that we've been able to achieve dramatic reduction in irrigation inputs, dramatic reduction in the inputs of pesticides, herbicides, fertilizers, and also a lot of the landscape waste that goes to the landfill has been diverted through composting and things like that.
That's why these gardens are so important, because they are regional laboratories to see what works, how well it works, and what doesn't.
People connect with that. One of the things that we're really finding with millennials right now is really looking at plant life as something that is really cool to have. And I think it's a market I think that we're going to see a lot of.